There's not 32 guys better than me.
You still feel the exact same.
Cam.
On my soul.
Cam.
I couldn't.
You're one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the world right now. Cam, I cannot accept that.
Cam Newton. How do I say this nicely? Shut up. One of the worst character traits to not have in this life is self-awareness. Whenever a person loses touch with reality, that's when it becomes a problem. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about, but there's also probably a lot of people who don't. Recently again, Cam Newton, for some stupid reason, decided to go on a podcast. I've talked about this with Baker Mayfield, and the same thing with Antonio Brown and any player that's in a terrible situation. One of the worst things, if not the worst thing you can ever do when you're in a situation like Antonio Brown, Baker Mayfield, or Cam Newton is go on podcasts or talk about it at all. Why is it such a bad thing? Because look at everything that's happened from podcasts. Nothing good comes out of it. Whenever you're doing an hour or two long podcast where it's raw footage and unclipped, you're bound to mess up and say something that could potentially ruin your career. Speaking of that, I just thought of this. Didn't Cam Newton go on a podcast and say some controversial statement about women not too long ago? That right there proves my point exactly. Look what Antonio Brown has done also, and look at Baker Mayfield. Those are just some of the recent examples that come to my mind. And it's nothing against those guys. If you sit down any person for an hour or 2 hours long, some of them are going to say some messed up stuff. We're mainly going to talk about what Cam Newton said. I can't let it slide. I got to address it. But also at the end of this video, we got to talk about Leonard Fournette. It appears to seem that Mr. Leonard Fournette, he has a slight problem. As most of you know, we're on the road to 200K, so if you do enjoy the content, I would greatly appreciate it if you help us out, help us achieve our dreams of hitting 200K. If not, that's cool too. And now without further ado, let's get into it. What do you guys think? I say we shall start off with the juicy and most interesting stuff first, and that's Cam Newton. So Mr. Cameron Newton, he goes on this podcast, and one of the quotes he says that's got everybody rallied up is, quote unquote, "There's not 32 guys better than me. If you think I couldn't be on somebody's team right now, you're a dang fool."
There's not 32 guys better than me.
You still feel the exact same.
Cam.
On my soul.
Cam.
Key phrase in that statement, "There's not 32 guys better than me." I think Cam Newton's a pretty cool dude. He won a national championship and Heisman Trophy at Auburn. In the NFL, he was solid for a long time, but that time is over. This isn't the early and prime Superman Cam. That era is over. Like I said, he's a cool dude, and I'm wishing him the best of luck, and I'm rooting for him. I want to see him play, but the harsh truth is, in reality, he's not one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league. I don't even know how he has the balls to say that after what he's done in the prior 2 seasons. I don't even think it's relatively close. Like, I don't think he's around borderline 35, 36. I don't even know if he's top 50. I know some people right now, you're running to the comments to disagree with that, but good thing I did my research before this video. Most of y'all know how I am. I don't just say crazy opinions or statements without having some evidence to back it up. Early on in his career for Carolina, he was good, no debate about it. But when he had that fallout with Carolina and he went to New England, he wound up being 7-8 as a starter. Not terrible, but let's dig a little deeper. He completed roughly 66% of his passes, which compared to his career percentage of 59.9, that's really good. But he only threw for 2,600 yards, had 8 passing touchdowns to 10 interceptions. You take away his first and second game with New England, where he had that amazing one against Seattle where he went off, it'd have been much worse. But overall for that entire season, he had a total QBR, which is 1 to 100, 50 being average, he ranked at 39.4. I'm going to repeat that. 39.4. Once again, 50 is average. And on this podcast, you know what Cam Newton said? He tried to say that he was in a terrible situation in New England and he just learned the offense by the 7th or 8th week. I understand where he's coming from, but he's trying to make it sound like he got thrown into the fire and he was traded to New England one day before a game. Look, I get it. He wasn't at New England long before his first start, but it's not like he got traded there 2 hours before kickoff. And it's also not like it was his second or third year in the league. This guy's almost a veteran. So that entire argument, I'm sorry, I just can't give him the benefit of the doubt. You've been playing football your entire life. You was in the NFL for a long time, so it's not like a drastic change. If you're a high school kid or college kid and you're transferring schools, or even your first or second year in the NFL, you're getting traded, I can have more leeway with you, but I can't with Cam. By the time he was playing for the Patriots, he's been in the league for a while, and it's football, man. Don't overcomplicate it. The size of the football doesn't change. The size of the football field doesn't change. Just your teammates do. If you can ball, you can ball. It doesn't matter if you put Michael Jordan or LeBron James on one of the worst teams, they're somehow going to find a way to win. That's one of the only things I don't like about Newton. He always finds excuses. He never blames himself. Actually, hold on, my fault. Let me go back on that statement. I have seen examples, and a lot of examples, where he does blame himself. But he doesn't do it 100% of the time, and he still tries to blame the situation. For example, here's another thing he said. The New England experience was a messed up situation. I was still learning the offense 7 to 8 weeks into the season. Okay, well, here's my argument to that, Mr. Cam Newton. What do you think all these rookie quarterbacks are doing? That right there just seems like a very lousy excuse to me as to why he didn't succeed. But it gets even better. As we continue to move on, what happens? He's like, man, I just want another opportunity. I want to go back to the Panthers, and he gets that opportunity. Everybody was excited. He was hyping it up. He was going to be back. And now there's not the excuse that he doesn't know the system or anything, because I know it may be a different head coach and whatnot, but you're familiar with the program. And ladies and gentlemen, in 5 starts for Carolina, what does he do? He goes 0-5. I was hyped for it. I really was. I thought he might be back because this is what he was wanting. I never felt like he wanted to be in New England. He just didn't have a choice. With Carolina, though, this felt like home and it felt like the right fit. If he was going to succeed, this be the place. It's sad. It really is. In those 5 starts, he had a completion percentage of 55, only threw for 680 yards with 4 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. The worst part about all this, and you know I gotta bring it up, it's the QBR, which was a miserable 25.5. Although the 25.5 didn't qualify because he didn't play the amount of games to qualify, that would have been the worst in the league. And there's no reason for me to believe if he would have played the games to qualify, it would have got much better. But here's the most concerning part about last season to me. It seemed like every game he played for Carolina, he was getting worse. You hate to see it, you really do. A guy who was once really good and some would argue was great, and now not so much. I'm not going to call him a bad quarterback because there's something inside of me that still wants to believe in him, but I got to see it. I just feel like it can't end this way, but the harsh reality is, and we're getting closer to it each and every day, I don't know if Cam Newton's going to have another starting job. As an NFL team or NFL GM, if you saw what he did with the Patriots and last year with the Panthers, why would you want him? I'm not going to disrespect the man and say he's not good enough to be at least a minimum QB2 in the NFL, but QB1, that's pushing it. He's not one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league, and if you still believe that after the cold hard facts I showed you in this video, you're delusional. We can have an argument and debate if you want to say he's top 45 or 48, but not top 32. If you don't want to take my word for this, or you don't believe me, here's what one of his own boys had to say to him when he said that on the podcast.
I love you. I draft you to my teams on Madden.
Right.
And I trade for you.
Right. We ain't talking
But
about
right
that.
now,
We
bro,
talking about
you
real
are
life.
33 years old.
Yes, sir.
You done got old.
Yeah.
You're one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the world right now. Cam, I cannot accept that. I can't accept it.
That I'm not
I saw what you did in New England.
Mm-hmm.
When you went back to Carolina, I saw what happened. Like the proof's in the pudding. Tell me.
I don't know who that guy is that said that. Maybe I should, but I respect him a ton because he's telling Cam Newton not what he wants to hear, but what he needs to hear. This is some advice to all my people out there. You want to surround yourself with guys like this, not a yes man. Because if you surround yourself with friends who always hype you up and agree with your dumb decisions, that's a terrible thing. You want to be around people that tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Mr. Cameron Newton, I'm wishing you the best, my brother. I hope you go out there and you prove me wrong. But the bottom line is, that's not going to happen. You're no longer good. You're still trying to live in the past and bring up what you did 5 to 6 years ago. You're now a 33-year-old quarterback who's taken a beating his entire life, and you've never been that accurate of a passer. Your passing rating, or not passer rating, your completion percentage has never exceeded 60% for your career. And everybody needs to realize Tom Brady's a rare specimen. Quarterbacks are not supposed to play past 40. If they do, it's rare. And the reason Tom Brady can get away with it is because number one, he didn't take a lot of hits, and number two, he took outstanding care of his body. On the other hand, for Cam Newton, he's taken so many brutal hits, it's catching up to him. And then also the clear cut and obvious, he can't pass. I can't even feel sorry for him. He got another opportunity after playing poorly for the Patriots. And yet he's still delusional enough to believe he's a top 32 quarterback. Come on, man. It is what it is. But moving on in today's video, we got to talk about Leonard Fournette. I'm going to show you right here some pictures of Leonard Fournette that have been leaked out at his practice. and you can tell he's looking kind of hefty. I want to be 100% transparent. I'm not going to overreact to this too much, but it's worth talking about. Just like this tweet says, he signed a 3-year, $21 million contract, and now he's weighing over 240 pounds. And last season, he only weighed 228 pounds. So in this offseason, he's been eating. This tweet says Leonard Fournette showed up to camp thick with double C's and all caps. That's crazy. No, that's actually insane. All caps, 2 C's. Now, in an interview, Leonard Fournette did say he wants to get down to 230 or 228. I wouldn't overreact to this because he can lose 10 pounds like it's nothing. I don't think this is some Eddie Lacy situation where he eats his way out of the league. The reason I don't think it's a problem is because he's came out and admitted he's going to fix it and work on it. And then last but not least, I thought this was kind of funny. Apparently Leonard Fournette, he was visiting places in the offseason, and one of those was the Patriots. And I guess you could say Tom Brady wasn't too happy about it because he called him and said, "Man, what's your you-know-what doing up there?" Pretty interesting stuff though overall. Let me know your thoughts on all this down below. But peace.